All right, a happy Friday night. A little bit of a Bulls off-season video. They have been eliminated. You're watching this game and you're thinking, man, does Atlanta and Chicago belong together? And what does this say about the Atlanta Hawks, who got their doors blown off by Chicago, who gets their doors blown off by a injury-ravaged Miami Heat team? Never underestimate the Heat. I think that's what we continually learn. And the Bulls offseason article is up. It had been written 2 weeks ago. We tweaked a couple things here. And if you are new to this, I'm not writing the article while the game's going on. And whoever loses the Sacramento-New Orleans game is going to get an article also. So let's talk about the Bulls. 39-43. They beat Atlanta in the play-in the other night. The 11th pick in the draft, the 2% chance of getting up to number one. Basically in the same spot as they were a year ago, losing to Miami in a lot closer game. And now there are some major decisions as far as where this roster goes. Key free agents, DeMar DeRozan. We're going to talk about him in a little bit. Patrick Williams, restricted. He's been hurt. Lonzo Ball's got a player option. You've got a better chance of it snowing in Southwest Florida than Lonzo Ball declining his option. Andre Drummond, Javonte Green, Torrey Craig's got a player option here. There's going to be a lot talked about Chicago. Why didn't they pivot at the trade deadline? Why didn't they tear it down? I certainly, working in the front office, I understand the direction there. Basically, as Arturas Karnisovas, their head of basketball operations, like, listen, this was a competitive group, right? Started the season 5-14, 19-13 after that, right? The play-in gives you hope. That's what we continually learn about. The play-in gives teams like Atlanta and Chicago hope based on possibly what Miami did last year. But there is no Miami. Atlanta is not Miami, and Chicago is not Miami here. So Chicago elected to do nothing. They stayed pat, rolled out the group. We know Zach LaVine was out for the rest of the year. And this is how they rewarded Arturas. 14-16, finished the season. 27th in defensive efficiency, and as I say, I'm humiliated in a play-in game. So now here comes the hard questions, okay? And the one thing that Arturas said, and we've got some quotes from the deadline, the shakeup doesn't guarantee you success, Karnisovas said after the deadline. The words like rebuild are thrown around. I think this group gives you the best chance to compete. Doesn't guarantee you success, but we are a competitive bunch. And he's right. It was a competitive bunch. But here's the question, as I put in the article. The front office now has hard questions to ask on how a competitive team, like, you're not going to hang up a banner at the United Center saying we were competitive this year, how a competitive team can compete for more than a play-in spot, right? Decisions on DeRozan, Drummond, and Patrick Williams. Rebuilding from Arturas and from people you talk to is not in his DNA. So buckle up. So here's where you're looking at financially. Okay? You've got $134 million in salary. The salary cap's $141. You're a cap team. You're over the cap. You don't have cap space. The luxury tax is $171. You bring back DeRozan and Patrick Williams, you're a tax team. No ifs, ands, or ways, and buts. You have to figure out what the Lonzo Ball rehab timeline. You could get some financial relief, but that would come with Chicago just declaring that Ball can never play again. He would have to go through a process where basically it's an independent doctor would have to declare him. But when you look at certainly back in March, starting to do some on-court work, that is probably more of a long shot. Expect them to guarantee the Alex Caruso contract, one of the best value deals. It's a partial right now. It's not $9.9 million. As I said, Ball will opt in, definitely. what you have from an exception standpoint, your 12.9, your non-tax or your $5 million tax is dependent on what you do with your free agents. And that's where we start, all right? Your top front office priorities are Ball, DeRozan, and LaVine. We touched on Ball for a minute as far as where he is health-wise. It's funny, we've written, oh my God, this team was really good when Lonzo was healthy, and right, they are, but we're 2 years removed from that, and we can't keep on talking about how good Chicago was when Lonzo Ball was in the lineup. What are you going to do with DeMar DeRozan? I would want DeMar DeRozan on my team any day. He's played 92% of regular season games since like 2011-12. One of the best closers in the NBA. But, with that certainly comes with the age factor here. I'm just pulling up DeRozan. He's going to turn 35 in August. Okay. Chicago from now until June 30th is eligible to sign him for a 3-year, $129 million extension. That's rich. That gets him basically up to 46 in that last year when he's 37, 38 years old. That is a whopper of a number. Is there a compromise where you can go 3 for 90? Is that the direction you want to go in? Paying him $30 million. What is his options outside of Chicago as far as teams with cap space? Do you want to go down that road? Orlando, Oklahoma City, Philadelphia, Detroit, Utah, possibly, I doubt Toronto. I don't think he's going to go back to Toronto. San Antonio, I don't think so. So you're looking at cap space. What are the options in a sign-and trade? Teams like the Lakers and the Clippers are probably long shots just based on the apron and the inability to take back a player in a sign-and trade. So where does DeRozan fall on the pecking order as far as from a priority standpoint here? I think he is a priority. He's durable. He can be your number 2. Still at his age, I think he is reliable, although he did not play great in this Miami game. So that's one of the things you have to figure out. The third thing is, and just because he had foot surgery, we haven't talked about, but there was a period from November, December, and January basically where's Zach LaVine going to go? Who's going to be the team that's going to go out and go acquire him? 5-14 to start the season. First 19 games, they played better when he came back, and then he got hurt again. The market for DeRozan is unpredictable. Okay? Is there a team out there willing to take on that $43 million for next season coming off foot surgery and not seeing him on the court? It's a big risk. It's got this next year and 2 more years after that. It's a big, big, big risk. Okay? Starting on this past Monday, and we have this in the article, the new apron rules restrict teams from taking back more money in a trade if the incoming salary would put them over the first or second apron. Second apron teams include Celtics, Nuggets, Warriors, Clippers, Lakers, Heat, Bucks, Timberwolves, and Suns. Those are potential apron teams come the summer. That basically knocks the Zach LaVine market out. I said, however, we talked about this back in December and January. What happens with a team like Detroit, bringing them again, misses out in free agency? I don't see Philadelphia basically going down the LaVine route if they don't get anybody here. You would rather just roll back the same group you just finished the season with. So it's Ball, figure out where his health timeline is, DeMar DeRozan, and then certainly what you do with Zach LaVine. Eventually, you're going to have to rip the Band-Aid. And I know Arturis has been out in front and basically said, we're not rebuilding. And I know rebuilding stinks. But it feels like we're just kind of treading here. And you're just waiting to catch a break. I don't know if that break is coming for Chicago. Extension candidate to watch. Alex Caruso signed a $37 million contract in 21. One of the best values. Should be on all defense. Maybe it was all defense last year. Should be again this year. The numbers are ridiculous defensively. Eligible to sign a 4-year, 78.8. I would offer that to him. I would not hesitate offering that. If you don't, you might as well trade him because he will get at a good number come next offseason, 2025. Front court depth, perimeter defenders. What do you do with Vooch? I mean, man, he has struggled. In your you have $20 million tied up in a center position where you'd rather allocate that money somewhere else. Chicago allowed the second most three-pointers made after February 8th. Extension candidates too. Patrick Williams, not an extension candidate, but he's a restricted free agent. What do you do with Patrick Williams? Not an easy decision here. Honestly, what you saw today in Miami makes things a lot easier. Draft assets. Chicago has their own first in this year, which is number 11. They are allowed to trade that starting the night of the draft. They owe San Antonio a top 10 protected first in 25 and its top 8 protected in 26 and 27. They are owed a first from Portland that's top 14 protected over the next 4 years. I don't know if you will ever see that. 3 second-round picks available. So that is the state of the roster in Chicago. So you basically, I said in February, pick a direction, pick a road. Basically, Chicago went down the middle. They didn't go left. They didn't go right. But now you're faced with losing the plane again, getting your doors blown off, unlike last year. LaVine, DeRozan, Caruso, Patrick Williams, Cap.
Wanna try to boast at what I look like, Pick them James, how they wear, I pull up long range. No, Jimmy with the heat, I'm on fire. It's NBA on the ESPN tour.